Thank you for the detailed introduction. I did not expect to have a detailed introduction. Thank you. Is Menaka? Is that correct? I pronounced your name correctly? Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah,
you're
I
audible.
get it.
Please go ahead.
Thank you.
Okay. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Halima, and we have been associated for a few years. I can see you contribution to the society in terms of the educations. So we are very happy to working with you. And then this is another one projects for the educating leaders. As mentioned, in the opening speech, lifelong learning is, very, very critical, this knowledge-based economy. And then we are creating this opportunity for, our community. You leader is a great, topic. And then we are very happy to involve. So my name, I just give you my introduction. I think you already introduced my name. So I think I can start to present. So basically, I involve a few things. Finance is one of them. Definitely the today topic, budget and then resources management. It is very, very critical for any institution to success. Is not only the companies but also individuals. So both today topic is useful for companies as well as the individual. Okay, so before I start this, session, I just wanted to ask this question. Budgeting, right? If you look at it, various countries, um, they actually plan and budget for resources. Okay? As a country, they have a dedicated team. In fact, the Ministry of Finance involve budgetings. And then for companies, the CEO involved in preparation of budgets. And then in our family is, we do budget. So budgeting is very important skill that every one of us need to master. Okay, so we look at it, the definition of what is budget, and then we quickly move on. So as you can see, budget is, something we plan for future. So definitely, when you something plan for future, there is a lot of uncertainty. So here we're talking about, project for your revenue and expenditure for the future period based on the, the external internal factors. So this is actually for companies. Same definition can be used for the individual, like you and me. So how much income we have, how much expenditure we're going to have it for the year, and then how much we're going to save, and then how much is we going to have investments, so on and so forth, right? So I think budgeting is very, very important. So there is actually a saying, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. I think is convey the importance of budget. So when you talk about plan, is actually the budget. So the budget is actually another word called plan. So you plan for future. If you don't plan, then definitely the chances of failure is very, very high. But of course, when you plan for future, there are a lot of uncertainties you need to take into consideration. So that's why your budget or your plan must be dynamic, and then need to be reviewed every quarter basis, depending on the future, what is actually going to happen. And then also when you plan, you may not aware what is going to come in future. For example, 2019, 2020, when we have pandemics, whatever plan we have, all is out of the window. So our plan, our budget must be taken into consideration for the future changes. Right? So in terms of resources management, what is the link? The topic is so great, linking the budget to resources management. Actually, when you talk about budget, you're actually talking about resource management, because you budget for you whatever resources you have. If you don't have resources, you need to go and get the resources. right? So here talk about resources. You can be various resources. We'll highlight later on. So in terms of resources, we're talking about efficient use of the resources. Okay, whatever resources are available, we need to use efficient. Okay, it can be companies, you can have an individual. You without using resources efficiently, you can't able to have an effective company. You can't able to have an effective output or results just as revenue or the profit, right? So resource management refer to the efficient control of all resources available to the company in order to achieve the company objective. This is the resources. So basically budget, talking about whatever resources you have, you plan effectively, you use the resources effectively, and then manage the company. In the event when you're talking about budgeting, if you need additional resources, you need to go and get additional resources. This is also planning, right? So as you can see is maximum efficiency with the minimum wastage. That's what the budget trying to derive. So when you budget for your income expenditure, you look at it each one of them, and then you find out what is necessary for this year or this month or this quarter, and then you trying to maximize efficiencies, maximize effectiveness, maximize your return within minimum cost, okay, and then actually minimum waste, right? So when you talk about resources, you have inventories, human resources, IT resources, natural resources, so on and so forth, right? So every resources you need to plan and then utilize. All right. But if you look at it, right, various businesses have a huge problem of managing resources. Okay. So a lot of company, because if you are not efficient, your project may not be completed on time. You need to pay penalties. Your return is affected. Your shareholders, wanted to have a dividend, you can't able to pay. You can't able to pay salaries. So if you don't manage your businesses, you can have huge challenges, right? So I'm hearing, some of the common complaint, right, from our clients, right? For example, they don't have a fundings, right? So they have orders, but they can't able to fulfill the orders because there is no supplies. The supplies is limited, restricted, or there is a supply that they can't able to make money, right? They have, goods, but they can't able to get the, logistics, for example, can't deliver the good services. And then sometimes out of stock, okay? And then there is a lot of wastage, okay? And then lack of manpowers, they can't able to manpower, so on and so forth, right? So these are some of the problems that company face now. So because, the company did not plan resources ahead, budget means is plan ahead, right? So they didn't plan properly, or maybe they didn't give attention to some of the critical resources they have. So that's why they have actually a problem. If a company, if you have a plan objective, and then if you have resources, whatever resources you have, you actually plan well, you can able to avoid. So if anyone wanted to be a leader in the company or the industry or leader in the home, they should have some level of plan, whatever resources they have. First, whatever resources we must use effectively, efficiently. And then if you don't have resources, you need to go and get. That's why the budget is very, very important. If you can solve this resources constraint, the company can perform well, right? So for example, if you take it this, very simple, when you do business, every one of us, need to make a profit in order to sustain, right? So you have, the resources limited. Most of the company resources limited, right? And then you have a limited number of customers, you have resources, you need to make money, right? So in order for you to make money, you need to use effective resources. You need to plan ahead. So the resources usage very important for in terms of expenses, because resources become expenses. If you manage resources wisely, effectively, you can use minimum input, maximum output. When you have this situation, definitely you can make money, right? Make money. Can at least have some saving, whatever income you have, you minimize expenses, and then you make a profit. All right. Whatever saving you have, you invest for individuals. So in order for you to, maximize your output with the minimum input, budget is important. Okay. So one of the item, that the any leaders need to get right is the budget. Okay. So the resources limited, you need to manage budget. So I actually wanted to quote this example. Later last year, we have a business network seminar. And in the seminar, the Minister of Finance, Singapore, attended. So I actually asked one questions. In order business to be successful, okay, in order business to be successful, right, what are the things that, the companies or individual need to get right? Her answer is, well thought. So she actually talked about various things. You need to have a lawyer, you need to have an accountant, you need to have a marketing, you need to have a product, so on and so forth, right? And then she, come to conclusion. She mentioned that whatever resources that the company have, okay, must use effectively. All right. And then this, how they can be done is through budget. So this is what she actually mentioned. So I can't agree more with the way she actually put it. So that's why manage your budget resources, very, very important. So what are the benefit you get if you manage the budget well? Okay. You can have control over whatever resources you have. Whatever resources you have, you need to focus, right? And then you're aware that what you're actually going to do for the company. Okay. So you can plan your saving. If, let's say, you need contracts coming in, you have limited resources, if you plan, then you need to get more money or more resources, you will plan ahead, not firefighting or the 11th hour. And then if there is any, unaccepted cost going to be incurred, you need to have enough savings to complete the project. And then if you have planned, you at least can able to communicate. So for example, when you do the budgets, okay, this year I'm going to produce, 10 million units. So you need to communicate this to your sales force, your marketing force, right? So on, right? So budget will able to give you clear communication. Clear communication actually enable the management team to go out and sell goods and services, right? And then also you plan if there are any girdles you're going to have, you have a early warnings, right? Let's say resources constraint. So if you look at it now, right, supply chain is actually one of the major issues. A lot of companies, a lot of countries, they're looking inwards, using resources as a political tools. I'm sure you read the news. Some countries, when they're not happy with a certain countries, they don't want to provide goods and services. Okay, for example, some tech companies, they can't, supply to certain countries. So when you have all this, company need to plan for alternative resources. And then when you plan, if you have additional money, you can go and invest. Okay. So budget is very, very important for individual and companies. And then leaders must get right in order for them to, even survive. Some CEOs, been removed because they did not manage the budget, or they actually have budget they can't able to achieve because they didn't use the resources. Then also a problem, right? So on and so forth. So these are some of the benefits you need to have. So as a leader, we need to get many things right in our business to success. Budget is one of them. We use budget as a tool to manage resources. Okay. Thank you very much for your time. If there is any Q&A, and then I'm happy to take on. Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chinnu. Thank you. It was really very informative. And of course, this is a topic that requires more details. And I'm sure that those who are in need of knowing how to budget, because that also needs some skill set. Everybody and everyone cannot do as effectively as it should be. So they can contact Dr. Chinnu separately for his individual or separate sessions, and he will provide some time so that he can give you the sessions on budgeting. Now this is a time for the Q&A, question answers. Miss Menika, Akila, Mr. Chakravarti, and all others, Miss Sana, whosoever is here. If you have, Miss Hena, if you have any questions, please go ahead and ask the questions before we move to the next speaker. Uh, Dr. Chinnu, may I request you to kindly close this screen? Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, hello, sir.
Hi,
This is
hi.
Akila.
Hi, Akila.
I have one question. So, what step should a person take to revise a budget plan for an institute?
What step take to implement for institute? You are saying institute is a training institute, is that?
Yeah, an organization, an institute, school,
Organization.
or college. Yeah.
Okay. So, budget, there is a few things we need to get right. Right. First, what are the sources of income? Income is one aspect. So we know that, for example, school, we're going to have how many students and then how much we're going to charge, right? So take number of students and then the fee we're going to collect is going to be the revenue, okay? And then if let's say we're going to have expenses to earn this income, so then we need to list what are the expenses that we need to, we're going to incur to earn this revenue, right? So we need to plan, right? So when we have a revenue and then various expenses, school, you need to have a classroom, you have lecturers, operating costs, salaries. So you need to get most of the costs and then you can see how much profit you're having. So part of budget planning, if let's say you have a certain amount, or let's say 1 million of revenue, and then you have 1.5 million of expenses, then is something wrong. So that's called, plan. Then now we need to think about, which way that we can reduce the expenses. Okay. And then if let's say you're not possible, it's all been fixed, then you need to use these resources effectively, efficiently, and then actually need to do the serve more students. Then you need to think about how to increase number of students. Okay. If let's say you can't able to increase number of students, then you need to think about how to increase the fee. So there are few, critical elements need to be, we look at it, review, and then you can prepare budget. So that's budget at the initial budget, where it's very simple. Your revenue and then expenses, how much profit you have. And then, number of students, what is the fee, and then expenses. You need to analyze and then fix. And then if you want to have a margin of 20%, then you need to work around how we actually can use resources effectively, and then you get more output. So more output, when you have more income, less expenses, you make a profit. So that's how I look at it as a budget you plan for any institution.
Thank you very much. Now we'll move to the next speaker, Miss Akila.
Yeah. The other question is that,
Miss Akila,
like,
we'll question answers later because we have two more speakers and then we'll take the more questions, please.
okay. Evening, everybody. I'm here. I'm privileged to. Yeah, I'm here.
You are not audible.